Hello everybody watching on YouTube and welcome to race number 11 of Season 2 NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the American Ethanol 400 here at Kansas Speedway, one of the best tracks on the schedule. And this is going to be quite the interesting race as we're getting set for 41 laps of racing here at this track. And after this race, we only have one race left until All-Star break, which is Phoenix next week. But before we look at the lineup, let's look at how the point standings are coming into the race today. Rafael Leduc lost a good chunk of the points lead last week at Pocono. He now only leads by 21 points over Anthony McCreary. Then it's Charles Sanford, Chris Michaels, and Emmanuel Harton at the top 5. And then the rest of the top 10 is Nelson Thornhill, James Qualls, J.T. Bryant, Dorian Facepuncher, and DJ Curtis, the top 10. And then the rest of the top 20 is Grayson Acevedo, Joshua Sekuli, Austin LaPlante, Trent Dunham, Seth Cole, Nathaniel Reed, Matt McIntyre, Sean Galligan, Kev Shearer, and Dylan Thoreau. So that is how the top 20 looks coming into the race today. But let's look at the lineup. Starting in the last row this week is Paul Minnick and Rafael Leduc. Top 10 in the lineup. Front row, it's two Dale Jr. looking numbers right here. So it's Tim Fiegel on the pole for today, and starting next to him is Nathaniel Reed. Row 2 is Joshua Collard and Kyle Matthews. Row 3 is David Rivera, Charles Jackson. Row 4, Austin LaPlante and Sean Galligan. And then row 5, Charles Sanford and Jesse King. With that said, let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for the American Ethanol 400 at Kansas.
Drivers, start your engines!
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Engines are revving, which means we are getting set for racing here at one of my favorite tracks on the Marvel Studios Cup Series schedule. Excuse me. Second week in a row, I noticed Rafael Leduc starting in the last row. But knowing his talent, he might be able to prevail and get something out of this. And also, with this racetrack being how it is, basically passing is all over the place. And you could start in the very back and work your way up to the front as long as you pick at them one at a time and do the best you can. After all, we've seen plenty of that, not only at this racetrack, but at other racetracks of this style, like Atlanta, for example. But Tim Fiegel on the pole for this week. And keep in mind that after this race, we have only one race left, and that's at Phoenix until we get to All-Star break. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time to boogity 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 go racing. Well, Tim Fiegel manages to make it work and is leading the race so far. Behind them, big battle for second. David Rivera has it, but Charles Sanford wants to spot is back behind them. 3 wide everywhere, nearly contact between the 78 and the 62. Nearly 4 wide. Chris Michaels thinking of making it 4 wide. Not going to work that way, however. But anyways, Fiegel still leads, but now Austin LaPlante takes over second. 3 wide for third. Nelson Thornhill, who I think, if I saw on the lineup, started 19th, and he's already worked his way up into the top 3. Chris Michaels trying to work his way back on the bottom. And he's got to run. He's going to try and use the apron. The apron is legal on this racetrack. Oh, I saw a lot of them. Man, look at this. This is chaos back here. But they're able to make it work. And look at Rafael LeDuc. Last scored 31st, but he has definitely worked his way up through the field. Separation of a pack between the 12 and the 43. But back up at the front, Tim Fiegel has still been leading this whole entire thing. But look at Benjamin Miles in the 21. Benjamin Miles has been one of those more quiet drivers this season. He's been able to work his way up into the picture for certain races. Has come close a couple times to winning races, in fact. Sorry for that little pause. But meanwhile, back up at the front, Dorian Facepuncher in the 62 has now taken over the top spot. But here comes Chris Michaels in the 17 in for the picture. So now Chris Michaels leads, and it's 3 wide for second. DJ Curtis, Grayson Acevedo, and Dorian Facepuncher as it now settles out to double wide. But Curtis has got that run on the inside lane to make the pass on the 55. And oh my goodness, they were nearly 4 wide right there. Joshua Coward thought about making it 4 wide, but decided against it. Very smart of him. But he's right on the back bumper of the 6 of David Rivera. And I believe that is all battling for second right now. DJ Curtis about to get passed by David Rivera. So right now it's 1-2 Roush. But here comes Joshua Coward to spoil that party. James Qualls running in the very back. Not a good sign of things for him. So I'm trying to find points leader Rafael LeDuc. There he is. He was last scored 19th. Let's see where he was scored this time. 16th. So he started dead last, and he's already up in the top 20. 8 laps into this thing. As meanwhile, this crazy fighting going on as Chris Michaels still leading the way as they're going well over 200 miles an hour into the corners here at Kansas. And they do slow down a little bit, so you can tell they do have to play with the gas a little bit to make the corners stick for themselves. But meanwhile, Tim Fiegel back into second. He's trying to figure something out. As meanwhile, oh, Kev Shearer about got into the left rear of Nelson Thornhill as he's about to get a challenge from teammate Dorian Facepuncher. 2 teammates out of Young Motorsports fighting for that spot, and Facepuncher trying to get back up to the front as he's now underneath the 78 of Thornhill. As Fiegel trying to figure out what is it he has to do to get around the 17 as James Qualls has gone into pit road, it looks like. Trying to find him. There he is. He must have had something mechanically go bad for him to the point where he was losing a lot of speed. And now went to pit road, but now he's back on track, though, a lap down. So tough break for the 70 of James Qualls. He's had a rough last couple of races. He was 3rd in points, and then after last week at Pocono, apologize for that freeze again. After last week at Pocono, he fell to 7th in points, and now he might drop even further in the points. The thing that Qualls would be hoping for at this point would be a quick caution, and then everybody pits and he could stay out to get his lap back. But meanwhile, 3-car fight for the lead. Fiegel's up there, but here comes Facepuncher with a full head of steam. And then look at this battle for 4th. David Rivera has it, but Benjamin Miles is going to take it. As we continue to look around the field to see all the action, Rafael LeDuc falls back to 31st as we were trying to look at see where he was running, because he is the points leader. Paul Minnick losing a ton of spots after running that high line. As we are seeing a lot of fights going for position. Facepuncher has the lead, leads that lap, but here comes Fiegel, the pole sitter, back at it again. And now Tim Fiegel back to the lead. But here comes Chris Michaels with a full head of steam. And now he's to the bottom. And look at Zachary Fitzwater in the 91. Now he's the highest running rookie on track for Bulldog Motorsports in the Sharpie Dodge. And he's running pretty strong right now. Nathaniel Reed in the 88 running pretty good right now in third. And look at Seth Cole in fourth. Seth Cole, similar to Benjamin Miles, been one of the more quieter drivers. Currently coming into this race 15th in points. So we shall see how the 98 does here today. PJ Williams back at it again this week, running the Skittles Captain America Civil War Toyota. And whoa, near contact from both Fitzwater and JT Bryant. But JT Bryant takes 2 positions, maybe 3 if he can get off the corner past the 88, and it looks like he's going to. But Chris Michaels, still your leader. Seth Cole in second, but now JT Bryant may be thinking about going low for the second position, as PJ Williams and Kev Shearer are about to go by Nathaniel Reed. Well, but now here comes JT with the run on the inside of the 98. Chris Michaels still leading the way, as we got 2 young motorsports cars running second and third, with another one coming up, Chris Dollarton. So 4 of the 5 young motorsports cars that are in this race are running really, really strong. The only one that's not in this race is the owner of the team, Dylan Young. He failed to qualify for this race. But all 4 of his other cars have been running good or running strong right now. The lowest one on track right now is Dorian Facepuncher, but he's about to take over a couple spots. So right now, Young Motorsports showing a strong performance. But Chris Michaels still leads, and then you got Kev Shearer in the second position. As I'm looking around the field to see how everything's going around everyone else. Looking back at Rafael Leduc up to 28th, maybe now up to 27th. Because remember, with this track, the low lane, once you get a run on the low lane, you just feel like you get sucked into a vacuum and just get sent far further back. As meanwhile, Kev Shearer about got into the left rear of Chris Michaels for the lead. But the 17 still up the front. But meanwhile, Zachary Fitzwater, nearly contact there. The 91 of Fitzwater now trying to take over the second spot from the 12. And now Nathaniel Reed has entered into the picture for himself. And how about Zach Rogers? He's another guy that we haven't talked about much in this race. He's now found his way up into the top 10, up to 6th now. In that number 9 Slipknot Dodge Dart. And now Zach Rogers about to go by his teammate Zachary Fitzwater for position. Now is for the 5th spot. And it's 3 wide for the lead. Michaels leads, and then Nathaniel Reed, and now JT Bryant takes over the spot. And like I said, with you running that high line, it feels like you get sucked up into a vacuum and just get sent further back on track. And now Chris Michaels loses another spot, but might gain a spot from the 9 of Rogers. But now JT Bryant takes over the top spot on track, as we have a battle for second with Reed and Fitzwater. And this is the battle for the highest running rookie on track. But Mark Lane is now up here, and Mark Lane trying to redeem himself after running out of gas and causing the race-ending caution last week at Pocono. And he's running really strong. And look at James Qualls. James Qualls, he was sent so far back after his pit stop, and here he is battling up here among the top 5. He's trying to get up to the front to get his lap back. Or no, 1 of 2 laps back, actually. I guess he went 2 laps down. But he's trying to get at least 1 of them back, so that way he could maybe hope for a caution to get his other lap back. But Tim Fiegel is now back up to the lead, but Qualls ain't going to make it easy for him as Qualls runs the bottom as he's trying to get, like I said, one of his 2 laps back. And as a result, that helps for Zachary Fitzwater to get back up there to take the lead, but now Qualls might go back 2 laps down. Grayson Ace Veto in the 55 we haven't talked much about. He's now running up here in the top 3. Top 5 is rookie dominated. But now Dorian Facepuncher trying to get his act together and run back up here at the front. Seth Cole trying to hold off Rogers and PJ Williams who are running right on his tail. Whoa! Contact! Jonathan Zorling and Emmanuel Hartnett nearly wrecked each other, but they keep it straight. Oh, but cars are slowing down. That could be a sign of pit stops. And it is. Everybody mostly comes into the pits except for a few. A few cars staying down. They are Charles Sanford, Dylan Thoreau. Oh, another car's went pitted earlier on too. But the ones that are staying out in particular, Trent Dunham, PJ Williams. Mark Lane actually staying out. And he's going to stay out even longer, and James Qualls staying out. And then again, he pitted a lot earlier in the race. I think on like lap 8 he pitted. So he might try and stretch it out whenever the 56 goes in the pit road. He might be able to get both of his laps back that way. And maybe somehow salvage a good finish if he doesn't go in the pit road. So I'm going to keep my eye on the 70, although he's slowing down. He's going to risk it and go into pit road too with the 56. I thought the 70 should have stayed out and risked it the rest of the way since he pitted earlier than everybody else. But now the 56 is on pit road. But there is the 91 of Zachary Fitzwater, who's trying to get his lap back, and I think he has now at this point, as the 56 and the 70 finish up their pit stops. But I'll be curious to see how this is going to cycle around. It's kind of hard to tell who's the leader. I think this is the lead, the 91 of Fitzwater. We'll see when we get across the line here. Well, right now the 56 still leads, but the 91 is coming in fast. Oh man, it's gonna be close. Mark Lane trying to get up all the way up to speed. And it's going to be close, but I think it has cycled around to the 56 officially. Even though Fitzwater's coming in like a cannonball, Mark Lane has the race lead now for the time being, so it has cycled around officially to the 56 and the 91 and the 12. These are the top 3 fighting, and then you got Qualls ahead of him. Still a lap down, and Jessica Shelton has also gone a lap down. A couple cars fighting in the back of the field for position. 2 guys are in or outside the top 30 in points. Joshua Collard, Dylan Poteet. As we look around the field to see how things have been shaken up as a result of those pit stops. But Kev Shearer now attempting to make a move on the 91 for the lead. And now he's got the run on the inside. Grayson Ace Veto, who was a little further back after the pit stops, he's now trying to get back up into the mix. Chris Michaels by himself, and he's got a huge margin ahead of Seth Cole, among others. The 17 is hoping that these guys in the top 5 continue to fight, so that way the 17 could get up into the picture to potentially win this thing. Right now, Mark Lane has the race lead for the time being, as James Qualls is kind of making it difficult for everybody else in the top 4 to make passes because the 70's trying to get one of his 2 laps back. Meanwhile, Chris Michaels, let's see how far he's back to the lead now. You can tell he is catching them. He's just hoping that they all continue to battle it out for the next couple laps and hope he could enter the picture and get the lead for himself. But right now, Mark Lane, who won at Talladega a couple weeks ago, he's trying to go for win number 2 this season on a smaller racetrack. Meanwhile, battle for third, Kev Shearer beats Grayson Acevedo to the line right there, and now he's going to go by for the position. And Chris Michaels is definitely catching up to the top 5 as Qualls continues to fight it out with everybody. Chris Michaels slowly but surely catching up to those top 4 guys, and now he's got the 55 of Grayson Acevedo in his sight for 4th. Meanwhile, Mark Lane kind of pulling away a little bit, though he lost a little bit of time, but Shearer and Fitzwater continue to fight for 2nd, and Grayson and Michaels are both kind of watching from afar. I would keep my eye. I would actually not sleep on these two, the 55 and the 17. We still got a little bit of time for them to make something work, even though Mark Lane has been running this end of the race pretty smart after all these guys behind them have been fighting. And now it's 3 wide for the 2nd spot, with Qualls being the lap machine in the middle, and Fitzwater takes the point. Grayson goes to 3rd, and now here comes Chris Michaels with a run to the 12. And whoa, little bit of contact right there to move him out of the way. But it's 2 laps to go here at Kansas, and Mark Lane has the lead. And now here comes Grayson Acevedo with a run on this 91 of Fitzwater. I think this race is going to come down to one of these 3. Lane, Acevedo, Fitzwater, all of them rookies. And no caution out, so the white flag is out for the 56. And actually the top 2 is Michael Waltrip Racing Cars, so this is good for that team. But Acevedo's won to get that win, but he's losing time, and Fitzwater's gaining on him. I don't think it looks like anybody's going to be competition to the 56. It looks like it's going to be all Mark Lane. Coming out of turn 4 to get his 2nd win in 3 races, Mark Lane wins the American Ethanol 400 at Kansas. Pit strategy worked out in his favor. Was the last one to pit, and it worked, and he was able to hold off everyone. Great job for the 56. Gets his 2nd win in the last 3 races. One at Talladega. Had an okay, actually ended up having a bad run at Pocono. And he redeems himself and wins here at Kansas. So what a run for that 56 car. Rest of the top 10, his teammate Grayson Acevedo comes out with a great run in the 2nd position. Solid 3rd place finish for Zachary Fitzwater. Chris Michaels with a great run in 4th, so that's definitely going to help him out in terms of point standings is concerned. And then Kev Shearer with a great run in 5th. Solid 6th place finish for Seth Cole. Solid 7th for Trent Dunham. Great run in 8th for PJ Williams. Solid 9th place finish for the pole sitter Tim Fiegel. And then Nathaniel Reed with a great run in 10th. Rest of the top 20 was JT Bryant, Dorian Facepuncher, Charles Jackson, Chris Dollarton, Joshua Sekuli, Emmanuel Hartnett, David Rivera, Nelson Thornhill, Paul Minnick, and Zach Rogers. Rest of the top 30 was Dylan Thoreau, Johnny Gardner, Reed Ralden, Jesse King, Jonathan Zorline, Austin LaPlante, Benjamin Miles, Phil Parker, Sean Galligan, and Matt McIntyre. The rest of the top 40 was Dougie Shears, Charles Sanford, Rafael Leduc, Ashland Boyd, DJ Curtis, Anthony McCrory, Kyle Matthews, Joshua Collard, Carson Gum, and Dylan Poteet. And then the only 2 cars to finish a lap down were a lap or more down were Jessica Sheldon and James Qualls. Well, that does it for our coverage here today at Kansas. Last race before All-Star break next week at Phoenix. But until then, here are your results, rookie points and regular points heading into Phoenix. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off.